Hello friends. Today I thought we would have a little sit down chit chat. I've got my cup of tea because I have got a bit of a life update for you guys. So I have been keeping a little bit of a secret around here, and that secret is that we are having another baby. I am so excited to be having another baby. I'm so excited to be sharing this news with you all. And I'm excited to give you guys a little update on how I've been and how I've been feeling throughout this first trimester. After my last daughter was born, we honestly were not sure if we were going to keep growing our family. And that's not because we weren't open to another baby. It was more that I didn't know if my body could survive another pregnancy. Pregnancy is very tough. I know that there are women out there that say they love it. I don't understand how that's possible, at least from my own personal experience. It's really it's just a hard thing to go through. It's a lot on your body. And I had 4 kids in 5 years, and technically 5 pregnancies, one which was just 1 trimester because I had a miscarriage after my first daughter was born. So I had 5 pregnancies in 5 years, literally back to back to back to back to back to back. And it was just a lot on my body. I felt so really miserable, I guess is the word. In my last pregnancy, I was just so incredibly uncomfortable. It was the sickest I had been in all of my pregnancies, where I was sick with each one. And I just truly didn't know if my body was going to be able to go through it again. And I also have, I had a postpartum DVT after my second. So I found out I have factor V, which is like a blood clotting disorder. So I also have that kind of in the back of my mind, because every time you're pregnant, your risk goes up. I am on Lovenox, which is like a blood thinning drug that you inject, which is super fun. And I've been on that for the past several pregnancies, which keeps you safe, but it's always something that's in the back of my mind. Like, you know, how far are we going to kind of push this while also the tension of still wanting to have more kids? And honestly, it's very easy to make big decisions just based on like the short term. And that's kind of where my mind was at for a long time. I just wasn't up for another round of going through pregnancy, even though deep down I knew I would love to have another baby. But we knew that it was just so important to really zoom out and think long term. And when I think long term, especially like when all of my kids are grown and out of the house, and the kind of chaos of, especially this season we're in right now, is long in the past, I absolutely see another child in that picture. I feel like God put 5 babies on my heart a long time ago. So I just felt like there was another one out there. And even though I was honestly scared to go through another pregnancy and just to go through all the difficulties that come and the challenges that come along with that, I knew that ultimately another baby is such a blessing. Another child is such a blessing, and it is well worth all of the struggle it takes to actually bring them into this world. I just knew in my heart that God had another baby for us, and I know that following him and not my plan or what I think is the best move is always wise. I have learned that in so many ways throughout the last few years especially. So just choosing to kind of be open to it and see if he was going to bless us again, and here we are. No matter what stage of life you are currently in, fueling your body with proper nutrition is always imperative. You guys know I am very big on eating real, nourishing, nutrient-dense foods, but I also do rely on certain supplements to help me fill the gaps. And one of my favorite supplements that I take every single day is Element, which is an electrolyte drink mix. And out of all of the ones out there on the market, Element is hands down my personal pick. Its formula is very simple. So it has the sodium and the potassium and the magnesium that you want. Those are 3 key electrolytes, but it does not contain any artificial colorings, any artificial flavorings, any artificial really anything. And it also has no sugar in it. You do not want to be sipping on sugar throughout the day. Electrolytes are key in so many different cellular processes throughout your body. So think repair of your DNA, blood glucose control, muscle synthesis, restful sleep, production of energy. Who doesn't want more energy? Regulation of your blood pressure, regulation of how much fluid you're retaining. They are just so important. And the thing with electrolytes is our bodies don't have a storage mechanism for them. So you have to be constantly replenishing them. And if you are working out a lot and sweating, you're getting huge electrolyte losses there. Or if you're outside in the heat, if you're in a sauna, you need to make sure you're being extra vigilant about replenishing those electrolytes. They're also really key for proper hydration. Most people don't even realize they are dehydrated. You could be drinking a ton of water, and yes, of course, water is key for hydration, but also you need to have those proper levels of electrolytes for your body to be properly hydrated. And you may find that when you start replenishing those electrolytes consistently, you feel a lot better. I feel so much more hydrated, even if I'm drinking maybe less water than I was before adding electrolytes in. My mind feels sharper. I definitely have better energy throughout the day. And it's such an easy thing to do. You just add it into your water. It tastes really good, but again, there's no sugar in it. I personally like any of the citrus flavors. I feel like you can't go wrong with those. So it kind of jazzes up your water, which is always nice, but also it's giving your body that sodium, potassium, and magnesium that it needs just by drinking your water. If you guys have yet to check out Element for yourself, you can get a free sample pack with your order. It will come with 8 single servings of their most popular drink mix flavors, and this is free with any Element order. You can use my link below or just go to drinkelement.com/Becca Bristow. That's drinklmnt.com/Becca Bristow. Family really is the most important thing in life when it all boils down. And with that in mind, and knowing, there was still this desire and feeling like God was calling us to be open to having another baby, just all of that kind of mixed together, and also giving myself a little bit more time. My youngest was 18 months when I got pregnant this time, which isn't even that big of a gap. But I've done much, much smaller gaps. And I got to a place where physically I felt like I could take it on again. But I also knew that this pregnancy, it had to be different, as in I had to approach it differently. I knew it was going to be so important for me to really, truly take care of myself and put in the effort to do so, which is hard when you've got a million other things and other kids, and it's so easy just to put mom, on the back burner. I'll be fine. But I knew it was really important to take the time out of my schedule to take better care of myself, which means working less, which is something I've kind of been working on in the last year or so. That also means continuing to work out. I really got myself pretty much back into shape before this pregnancy, and I knew I had to stick with that. In all of my other pregnancies, first trimester, I just dropped everything and I didn't do anything and basically got out of shape. And then outside of my first pregnancy, I did continue. I worked out all the way through, and I obviously felt the best at the end. But with the other 3 after her, outside of maybe some walking, I didn't really work out much at all. And I felt it. And each pregnancy got more and more uncomfortable and challenging. And this time around, I knew it had to be different. So I've actually worked out through this whole first trimester, which is amazing because I've never been able to do that before. I really wanted to focus on my diet this time around. I would say I've eaten pretty well. You guys know me, I'm pretty passionate about nutrition. I've eaten pretty well through my pregnancies, but this pregnancy in particular, now that I'm out of the first trimester, there was a lot of takeout and not so healthy things because survival mode is survival mode. But now that I'm coming out of that, I am really focusing on high protein, lots and lots of veggies, fiber, getting in lots of good sources of dairy, and not relying so much on. Through my last few pregnancies, I was really big into sourdough, and I was always making stuff because I really enjoyed it. So I was eating a lot of that, and carbs are very easy to grab, easy to eat. They don't take much preparation. They're kind of like filler foods. And even if it's sourdough, it's technically healthier, but I wanted to stop kind of using that as like a quick, easy fix, quick, easy crutch as far as nourishing food goes, because when you're busy with all these other kids and you just need to eat, I needed to kind of let go of that and really like hold myself accountable and really focus on eating nutrient dense, like really nutrient dense foods. So that has been a small shift that has, I feel like, helped me to feel better in comparison to other pregnancies. And speaking of feeling better than other pregnancies, I am so grateful to report that I have not been as sick with this pregnancy in comparison to the others. Every other pregnancy, starting around week 6, I start to feel nauseous like all day long. And then I am basically completely useless for a few weeks because I can barely get out of bed. I'm so sick. Except for my first pregnancy, I've always taken like Unisom and B6, which has kept me from throwing up, but I would just be nauseous all day long, incessant, like never any break. And my first trimester this time has been rough, don't get me wrong, but it's been a lot more manageable, mainly because I'm not nauseous all the time. And when I'm talking to you guys right now, my nausea is pretty much down to only being at night, which is like truly such a godsend. But before, in other pregnancies, I would wake, like literally the moment my eyes woke up or opened up in the morning, I would just be hit with a wave of nausea. Like it was immediate, and it would just get worse and worse and worse and worse throughout the day. And by the time I was going to bed, I was like so sick, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do anything. I just had to go to bed. And that was my only break really from feeling that way. And that would go on for several weeks. But this time around, I would wake up in the mornings and I actually wouldn't really have nausea. I did feel like that like hungover feeling 24/7 where you're just exhausted and your body just kind of hurts, you're just kind of achy and you don't really want to do anything. Like that was definitely present, still is present like later in the day now. And when you guys are watching this, I'm about 14 weeks. But outside of that, it's mainly just been, feeling tired. The first trimester is such a trip because physically it's really challenging, obviously, but mentally it's very challenging because you literally within like a span of a couple weeks, you go from, or at least I go from high energy, highly productive, like just excited for the day. I've got home systems, I'm organized, I'm just like executing, and I feel very on top of things, even amidst all the chaos of like all these kids and the house and whatever. I usually feel very on top of things that are going on and not really overwhelmed. But then, man, within just a couple weeks, I go from that to being like, I can't even barely finish a load of laundry in like a span of 2 or 3 days. Like I'm a completely different person, and that is really hard mentally. And I'm so aware that it's such a short period of time and that you do start to feel better in the pregnancy, but then even more so, after that baby comes out, you start to feel like yourself again, or at least I do. I like postpartum a million times more than being pregnant. Something about pregnancy, I don't know if it's like all the HCG and then it's all the progesterone, it just completely kills my drive and my motivation. I just never want to do anything. I'm not a big nester. Like I just don't really have like the energy or the desire to be like doing all this housework outside of like the bare minimum. I joke that I'm like bare minimum Becca when I'm pregnant because like literally that is the truth. Like I just don't have the drive to go above and beyond and like hardly anything. And that's just like how I feel when I'm pregnant. And that's one of the reasons I don't like being pregnant, because I don't feel like myself at all. But again, it's such a short season. It really is. It feels long while you're in it, but it's such a short season and the payoff is immense. You get a baby like for the rest of your life, it's a God willing. And it's so worth it. So that's kind of how the first trimester went. Lots of just feeling tired and achy, unmotivated, definitely nausea, but not as bad in previous pregnancies. And I will say I did 2 things differently. I meant to mention this earlier. 2 things differently with this pregnancy. One, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed some more before I got pregnant that this would be an easier pregnancy as far as the sickness went. Because, sure, I wanted it to be easier for me, but really like it's a lot on the family when mom is down. So I just didn't want it to be as bad as, or as difficult, as challenging as previous pregnancies, because I know I've been through it, just how hard it is on everyone for me to just be like struggling, you know? So anyway, there was that aspect. But I also took, before I got pregnant for a few months, I want to say like 3 months or so, I took milk thistle, which I've heard a lot about as far as helping. It's naturally helps detoxify your liver, and there's no set reason that's been found scientifically for morning sickness. There's a lot of different theories out there, which to me, I'm like, how have we not figured this out yet? You know, like, come on, there's probably no money in it. But one of the theories is that all of the extra hormones, your liver might have a hard time handling all of them, you know, and dealing with all of them. And there could be like excess hormones, and that's what's causing the sickness. So one of these theories is if your liver is high functioning, it's going to help that hormone load and maybe reduce your sickness. And I've heard a lot of anecdotal stories of women using it and it helping. I did actually use it in one of my pregnancies, but I used it during the first trimester, and I didn't see enough of a difference to like ever continue it. But for some reason, I think honestly it was the Holy Spirit saying, take this, you know, let's try this, but do it before. So I took it for a few months before I got pregnant, and I feel like that, I mean, I have no way of knowing, but I have been a lot less sick this time around. So prayer, milk thistle, I don't know, but I felt better. Another thing I've been really focused on in this pregnancy, and it was one of the things I knew I had to do differently, was really reducing my stress levels. If you guys kind of know my story, I went from being this, I hate to even say it because it just like, ugh, but kind of girl boss, you know, sole provider of my family, hardworking entrepreneur. I don't regret any of it for a second, but I did learn the hard way that it was just way too much. I took on way too much, you know, anxiety, and just like my body could never settle down, and it was just not, it didn't work for me. So these past few years have just kind of been this like slow unwinding of that role really in my life, and also like that role in my family's life. And we have really transformed the way that we approach our, you know, finances and making money. And, you know, we've bought a local business that my husband runs, and it's just been a really wonderful shift. And all of my other pregnancies, I was in that kind of like high performance role, and I know it caused a lot of stress. I don't think I even realized how much until like now, kind of looking back. But that is also something I knew had to be different this time. And the reality is you're literally building a human from scratch, cell by cell. So if you ever feel like when you're struggling, when you're tired, when you don't feel like yourself, and maybe you get down on yourself, like, why can't I keep up? Why can't I do the same things I used to do? And maybe it's just social media. I don't know. To me, it seems like there's plenty of women out there that just keep on keeping on with their same routines and their same everything. And again, maybe it's just social media, it's not actually real, but that is not me. Like, and I think I've tried to do that for a very long time because I'm seeing these other women do it. And again, is that even reality? I don't know. But the reality really is that your body is going through so much and you are doing so much. Even when you are just at rest, your body is working overtime to build and craft a human from scratch. So just reminding yourself constantly that you are in this season of very physically demanding work that you're not even in charge of. It's happening regardless. So you have to give yourself so much grace. You have to slow down. You have to say no to certain things because you just physically, you're not going to be able to keep up while also keeping those stress levels in check and not overdoing it. I feel like I have definitely gained some wisdom in these years of having babies, and it's exciting to go through it with a different mindset than I had in my other pregnancies. And I will say, my kids are wonderful. They are healthy. There is no way to do this perfect. We're all going to overdo it or not eat the right thing. I mean, you can't put so much pressure on yourself because our bodies are amazing and they know what to do. And, you know, as long as you're trying your best to take care of yourself, that's good. Another thing that's exciting about this pregnancy is we are actually going to find out the gender. We found out with our first two, we did surprise with the next two, and this one we decided to find out. Either way is very fun. I feel like you can't go wrong. It's kind of just more what you want to get out of it. And doing it both ways, I'm really excited to find out this time. And that's mainly because I would love for my kids to be involved in that moment. They're getting older, they're very invested, they're so curious about the baby, what's going on. They can't wait to meet the baby. And I want them to be there for that moment. Because when I give birth, I'm in a hospital. My dream would be a home birth. That's like totally my vibe. But because of my blood clotting issues and the blood thinning drugs, I just risk out of any midwifery care. So I'm in the hospital and they can't be there for that moment when we find out and enjoy this surprise. So I just want them to be a part of it. Also, when you find out in the, like via surprise at birth, I will say it is very hard to be present for that incredible, you know, realization or, you know, a surprise in your lifetime, because giving birth is so intense. And especially, I mean, I've gone unmedicated with mine. So it's just a super intense moment. And then the baby's born. And when my son was born and my husband announced it's a boy, I feel like I wasn't even like aware to like take in that news. And then when my daughter was born, I was like, nobody say anything. Like, I want to find out for myself. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I kind of took a beat and was like, okay, we're about to find out. And I would, if I were to do it again, I would do that. But again, I just really want our kids to be involved this time, and my husband wants our kids to be involved. So I think that's going to be really fun. We are just very excited about this new addition. I cannot wait to meet this sweet little baby. I can't wait to find out if we're having a boy or a girl. I'm just really looking forward to going through this process, even though it's definitely challenging. It is such an incredible blessing, and I just feel so blessed and so grateful to be able to experience it all again. So thank you guys so much for watching this little life update. I so appreciate you guys being here. A lot of you have been here since I was posting about my wedding many years ago, and here we are going on baby number 5. Life is crazy, but God is good, and I'm just so grateful. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.